Okay, lesson 1 of Yang Lu Chan's form. First thing we want to do is just get some fluidity in the arms and structure of body to start with. So make sure you start with your feet about as wide as your hips to the outside edge of your feet, like that, and make sure that they're parallel. Very important not to start with your feet slightly turned out. They must be dead straight, otherwise it'll affect your stances for the next postures. So as wide as your hips, parallel, your weight's going down through your heels. Try to keep everything in your body just as upright as possible. So your back's straight. We haven't bent the knees yet, the knees are straight. You don't lock the knees out to start, they're just softened slightly like that. So there's a little fraction of a bend in the knees. Chin slightly tucked in, just to straighten up the back of your neck. Tongue's resting on the hard palate on the roof of your mouth. First thing you want to concentrate on when you're first starting to learn the form is, as I said, fluidity and structure. So we don't want to be fluid but all sloppy and no structure to it, but we don't want to have structure but be stiff and not have any fluidity. So we need to combine those two principles. So just with the first two postures of the form, all we're going to do is just work on those for this first lesson. So what I'm getting there is a nice flowing hand action. This is basic form, remember, that I'm teaching here. So I'm not teaching any of this waist action just yet. I'm just getting the structure and flow in the arms themselves. That's the first part to get through. No use trying to get your body moving behind it. If you can't do this with your arm and just get flow just from your shoulder, elbow and wrist part of your body, then there's no way you're going to be able to get this whole body flow. So you must start off just trying to get the flow in your arms. So we start with a rounded posture, like this. The palms are slightly yang. That's a yang-shaped hand if it's flexed up, like as if you're striking something. If it's yin, like that, that's your yin shape, so it's a relaxed shape. Like you take a defensive action with that, for instance. You can, of course, strike with a yin palm, and you can defend with a yang palm. They can both work either way, but that's a softer wrist. That's obviously a more power. So they start slightly flexed in the yang state, and see how everything's rounded here. Not like this, not like this. Just create a round shape with your arms. They're just slightly out from your body. Opening movement, you just literally raise your palms up and lower them down again. Two things that we want to do to get flow in the form. So we'll talk about the flow first and then the structure. First thing is the yin and yang in the wrists. So we don't want to, for instance, do this, change the wrist and then lift it, change it and drop it. There's no flow to that. You must gradually change your wrist over the whole movement. Anytime you're doing a yin and yang change, it's going to change yin, it's going to gradually change back. It's going to change yang, it's going to gradually change forward. So you're constantly releasing that energy and building that energy over the whole movement, as opposed to, now it's a dead movement. You want the arms to be connected with the body all the time, or the wrist to be connected to the arm as per the basic form, because as I said, we're not doing any of this yet, so you just want the wrist to represent the flow of the arm. The second thing is we need no sharp edges on anything that we're doing. So for instance, if I do a forward movement like that, if I do it to the camera, see there's a forward movement, just a very basic forward movement. I would never do this. If I needed to do forward then back, this would never happen. So there was a dead edge because I went straight forward and straight back again, indicating that that arm had to have stopped at some point because it was forward back. Every posture in the form circles off the edges. You round the edges off so that your form never stops actually moving. So if I do that same posture, see there, it's still a forward and backward movement, but if I exaggerate the principle, it's like I'm going like that on the end. So I throw the arm forward, but that circles off and comes back. But the circles on the end, of course, if it's a linear posture, the circle on the edge is going to be very small. So for the opening posture that we do, the arms will actually come slightly inward as they raise up. See how they've come quite close together? The little fingers are on the top, so they've rolled inward a little bit, like you're trying to touch the backs of your hands together. And then when they come down, watch what happens. See that? There's a little circle on the top, so they've come in like this and circled out like this to back down. But as I say, we don't go so far out there. It's just a very small little, it's a little circle just on the top of the movement. And then it's a straight down movement to finish. And of course the hands, as I said, they're going yin because they started yang. They're going yin on the way up. And then they're changing back to their yang state gradually over the whole movement as they drop back down to where they started. Your breathing throughout the whole form is diaphragmatic, deep down here. So when I breathe in, if you watch my stomach, see it sticks out. And I breathe out, stomach goes in. All in and out through the nose, unless you're doing the Fa Jing postures, of course, the explosive movements, they're different, so we'll talk about them when we get to them. But just for any slow movements in the form, deep diaphragmatic breath, in through the nose and out through the nose. Notice how nothing in my shoulders or my chest is moving. You must get the breath to come down here. That brings tension straight away into the upper body. So relax all this, and just this part sticks out. And then push it back in again. So for the first movement, we breathe in as you raise up, and then breathe out as you lower the palms back down. So there's the flow that we're getting. The second posture, we'll talk about the structure in the second posture. The first posture people tend not to get incorrect. Well, the only thing I would say about that first movement, structure-wise, is to make sure that, see how there, the movement is coming from the shoulder, not from the elbow. So don't go like this. See, I've lost structure if I do that. This is weak. This is a nice, strong, powerful structure. So throughout the whole form, we want to have a powerful, strong structure, but it's still soft. So you're not tensing all your muscles to create a strength in your body. You're holding a positive structure like that. So it's got a good yang strength to it, but it still has its yin element, so the muscles are soft. So we move from the shoulder for this first posture like that, not from the elbows like this. That makes you too yin. That's a nice balance of the two. If you go too hard and strengthen up everything and start doing all things like this, then that's becoming too yang, and of course we won't want to do that either. Yeah, bunny. Okay, so we come out of that first posture, in breath, out breath. Second posture. Flow and structure again. The left wrist raises directly in your own center line as it comes up, until it gets to about upper chest height like that. So it comes across your body this way. Wrist represents the center. So not like the fingers in your center, the wrist in the center. Bring it up, and again it's a gradual change to the yin state. Don't go yin and then it's a dead hand. You must gradually let it come up to that point. It's just like that. Then you're going to push it out to the side and flex the palm back to the yang state, like that. That's the yang-shaped palm. Don't flatten the palm. Keep it fairly relaxed as you're doing the palm. So it's like that. There's your yin state, like that. and there's your yang state. See how the shape of the hand doesn't actually really change. It's just the wrist that changes. I don't do this with my hand, for instance. It's still, we call it a tile palm hand because the fingers are actually layered, if you can see that. See how the fingers are one on top of the other. They're not flat and symmetrical like this. They're relaxed. So, left wrist is raising in the center. The right hand is raising 45 degrees to your right, so that it's kind of like it's pointing to the corner. So there's my north to the camera, and there's my two corners. The left wrist comes up in the center, the right hand comes to the side. So if I were to point this finger, it would be pointing to the corner, but obviously the hand's just in the relaxed yin state. So we bring them up like that. The palms are held so that if I for instance had a stick in my hands, they'd be facing these two cardinal points, the east and west. So I'm not like this or like this. There's a straight line between these two palms when I'm raising up into that posture. And that straight line is here at the start, like that. It's still there, it's still there, it's still there. So you've got that straight line between your two palms the whole time. This posture, the hands are moving in accordance with each other. So I'm not doing something like this. See? That's like one hand and then overlapping or something like that. They literally, if I do it very exaggerated, it's like they're, see, 2 and 3. They're moving as a unit, as such. So, they've come down yang off that first posture. Just to there. Your wrist is about shoulder height at this point. Left wrist is in the center. You literally just swap your hands from this point. So you put your left hand in the position where the right hand is on the reverse side, and you bring your right hand into your center line. So now your right wrist is representing the center, your left palm is out to the side, like that. The only difference is, of course, on this side the left hand is flexed to the yang state. So on this side both palms are yin. See, as we change across, the left hand will go yang, the right wrist will stay yin. So first two postures, in breath, flow, circle it off at the top, keep the structure. Second posture, again the yin and yang flow of the wrists and maintaining that nice solid structure in the arms. So again, we don't want to be doing this kind of thing, like that's sloppy, there's no energy in that. We're going to bring it out, make it nice and strong. This is for both rebalancing the energy in your body and for the martial, of course. You can't defend yourself if you're going like this. You've got to have a more projecting type of energy when you're doing the self-defense sides of the area. So it's all in breath, this movement. And then you haven't done the next move, so you just breathe out, obviously, at the end of the posture. So in breath, out breath. Don't forget that little circle at the top. And make sure you don't exaggerate those circles. It's literally just a tiny little circle. Don't start doing this kind of thing. Off that first posture, like I said, you take off the sharp edges. So don't go all the way back down. And see, there's a sharp edge there. You must come down off this first posture and circle it off. So they're coming down and circle into the next movement. Elbows are dropped here. Golden rule, wrists are always above the elbows whenever you have your hands up. Obviously not when you have your hands down here. As soon as you raise the arms, such as that first posture, so the elbows are hanging off the wrists. You never lift the elbows like this. That straight away lifts your shoulders and creates tension. You're trying to keep the body as loose as possible when you're doing your form. Like that. Still that straight line, wrist in the center, palm to the side. Structure in your arms. So again, the second posture is mostly shoulder. There's not that much in the elbows. In fact, most postures in the form is mostly coming from the shoulder. There's not usually much of this kind of action with the elbow joint. However, to maintain that straight line, the hand that's in front of your center does have to be slightly bent. So I've got a natural bend in my arms there, so they're obviously not straight, just a little bend. First posture, the elbows don't bend at all. Second posture, notice how the left hand just fractionally bends across. So it's just gone from there to there. That's all it's done. That's where it started, that's where it is. So it's only a very small movement. Just so that you can keep that straight line, because of course if I leave it straight, now see I've got a diagonal line. So I just let it just do that. As I switch across, they switch positions. So the right hand, the right elbow will slightly bend in, the left arm will extend out afterwards. So, in breath, out breath. In breath, and then out breath just at the end. Your next posture will be your full out breath. Thank you.